You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Zero Dark 30. And I think the whole world is in the dark, folks. Zero dark. Let's talk about this. Do you think anyone out there beyond just a small percentage of us has really paid attention to what's going on? Really understands where this is leading? Fathoms what the potentials are? That's a question I keep asking myself. Are the people of the world in the dark? I really think they are. I mean, here, I want to start with this little article here. Code Pink has endorsed the attacks on Israel from Hamas. This is an anti-war group, but they want to have pro-Hamas rallies in the U.S. Are they really that stupid, that ignorant, that foolhardy? I think they must be. How can you be anti-war, yet the way to peace is through war? I guess they realize that, or they're just going to justify it now all of a sudden. This is where we're at in the world. People want peace. I read this. They want freedom for Palestine, peace and freedom. I thought, really? You want freedom for Palestine? Freedom from what? Freedom from what? An abusive government? Freedom for who? The people of Palestine? So they can do what? So they can live in their ancestral homeland? So they can worship as they want? So they can be free of government restraint and interference? These same people that want these things for Palestine, Code Pink, others that are encouraging this type of action. And trust me, it doesn't matter whether Code Pink endorses, encourages, or in any way makes any minor impact. It's not going to change the major impact points. But they are completely in the dark, and so is everyone else. What they're asking for, Code Pink, is what they're taking from you. They're taking your freedoms, or at least supporting it. They would have the government interfere in your life, in your practice of religion, in your freedom to move about and live where you want in your ancestral land. That's right, the United States of America. The soil is my ancestral land. My ancestors have been here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. How can anyone else have an even better claim to having this as their ancestral land? Well, it's not 2,000 years. Well, it's a lot of arguing to be had there. But the point is that Code Pink wants it for Palestine, but they want to destroy us. They are intellectually in the dark. They are factually incorrect in their assumptions. They're philosophically devoid of any standing, any ground. So what does that make? What does that create? Well, it creates a situation whereby completely ignorant people who are guided not by principles, but by an agenda that's given to them in sound bites on a daily basis to obey. That's truly being in the dark. They can't discuss or debate or argue a case. All they want to do is say, well, this is what we want because Code Pink says so, because Obama says so, because the news says so. There are incredible amounts of people suffering. And Code Pink wants to have pro-Hamas rallies in the United States of America. I would think that supporting a terror group would get a lot more backlash. Kind of like neo-Nazis would. They go, well, wait a minute, John, these are Americans that are just supporting the Nazi regime. These are just Americans supporting what the Nazis stood for. Well, the neo-Nazis in America, they're not the ones pulling the triggers and committing the atrocities. So it's okay. That's what Code Pink is doing. They're legitimizing, justifying terrorism. And I don't like anyone out there, folks, who is committing acts of terrorism. That is to say, taking people's rights, property, lives, wealth, a nation's economy, its infrastructure, and holding it hostage and destroying it. I don't like any of this shit. But here we are. Here we are. These people are justifying the murder, the attacks, the destruction, the fear, the terror. And they don't understand why. Why, and why. They don't understand it. They're completely in the dark. Now, maybe we should look at it this way. Imagine being in a building and not knowing the interior layout of the building. What equipment is there? What tools are there? What dangers lurk? Pitfalls, etc. Literally. And you start walking about in the dark. Now, if this were a discussion about unicorns and stuffed toys, if you're in that building, everywhere you go, without saying too much, is plushy, soft, and cuddly. You start talking about instruments of war, and you're in that building, you're walking into landmines on a personal, intellectual, psychological level. These anti-war groups that are anti-war on the one hand and pro-war on the other, that are anti-freedom, but they want to liberate and help terrorists migrate to peaceful regions of the planet. They are literally walking around in the building that makes war in the dark, and they are setting off missiles and bombs and rockets. They are lighting off everything that is wrong and supporting it for all the wrong reasons. Yet they're just fine with it. These Democrats, pinkos, these DC warhawks, they have no problem because they think they're insulated, that it's never going to affect them. Well, it's going to. My question for you is, are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Because these idiots, these Code Pink fruitcakes, these anti-war, pro-war communists, these warhawks in Washington, these protesters on the street, they're asking for greater conflict. They're begging for it in the name of what they think is something that's safe and good and friendly, when it's far from it. We've got our hands full, folks. Are you prepared? Right? The same rules apply as they would dealing with BLM or Antifa, as we're dealing with these Middle Eastern factions. They're socio-political religious factions. Well, it's the Jews versus the Palestinians. It's the Jewish versus the Muslim. You take that aside and you look at the Muslim world. Within their own religion, right? They hate each other. Right? You have the Sufis versus whoever else. Right? They will fight anyone. They are ignoramuses when it comes to that, instead of being accepting of other people. They want terror instead of freedom. They want control instead of freedom. They want death instead of life. The only way to even put yourself in a position to survive all this is to become a prepper and understand what it is you're truly fighting for and looking for. If you're not illuminated, you're in the dark. Do you want to be that person stumbling around when things go bad? What do I do? I don't know. Where do I get food? Where do I get water? How do I protect my family? What do we do in my neighborhood? Right? Are you one of those people? Are you going to be prepared? Well, we know the answer. You're here now. Thank you for all you do. And chance favors the prepared mind. I'll see you soon.